Healing crystals, skincare routines, knitting a sweater, fitting in jeans. With Katie and Sarah, no need to worry, you're on a lady journey.
Anyways, lady journey. Welcome.
Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome,
Guys,
everybody.
We are in the month of December. I don't think we did one holiday.
Well, the cookie party.
The cookie party.
We did the cookie party.
And we will do
And
bonus.
We will be doing some holiday bonus.
Holiday
you know we
bonuses.
love the holidays. And
It's prime lady journey time.
We're jazzing it up, mostly by saying that we're jazzing it up.
I went into World Market this weekend and I
love World Market.
I love World Market. It rocks my tits. And I don't know if you do this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you go into a store being like this? I'm going to get Decor. I don't care how much it costs me, but I will get something. And then I get there and then I see everything. I love it all. And then I get overwhelmed and I'm afraid that I'm going to buy a bunch of random shit that has nothing to do with anything. And then I get nothing.
Yes, you leave empty handed.
And then I'm like, what? And then I go another Christmas without Christmas decor.
Oh, that feels like every day in my life. It's just constant overwhelm and struggling past it and coming up empty handed. That's a lady journey.
It is a lady journey. And I was like, do I get dried flowers that fall in the theme of the holidays? Because I wanted to get like neutralish decor that goes from Thanksgiving to Christmas.
Yes.
And so I felt like fake plant stuff. I have lots of vases that I've gotten. I don't know how you just end up with vases, but you do.
I have 87. I have 87.
That's a lady journey. All of a sudden you open your pantry or your cupboards and you're like, how do I have 87 vases?
Yes.
And you need to use them. And so I was like, oh, I'll do decorative stuff. And I just was like, I don't know what to get in the decorative plant department.
There should be 4 decorations. That's all it should be in the store. Just give me, that's why I like the Christmas tree stand. You're like, I'll take a branch.
Yes.
Get a branch, then you go on your way. You've done something.
And then I was like, oh, garlands with cute little hangy things. And then they're like, you only get this much and it's $20. And I'm like, what am I supposed to hang this off of?
Yeah.
When I went the whole room and I'm not spending hundreds of dollars to have this shitty garland that will get tangled up and become crap next year.
Yeah, that's what I think. Really, holiday decorations, it is a process, and that's kind of when you have a big collection of holiday stuff, you're 65.
Yes.
And then you spend half the year putting it back up and half the year putting it back down.
What is life? I have to tell you, I got to get into this in the bonus about
yes.
I bought pillow shams on Amazon, being like, yes, I'll get decorative pillow shams for the guest bedroom and it'll look cute because I want it to look this way. They were long pillow shams and I did not know that you
had
needed
short pillows.
I had short pillows. Nobody was like, you're going to have to tape measure your pillows for this one.
Get out your yardstick, girls.
That was an ordeal. And that's what I find life is to be about. And we've talked about this before, but I will get into the seasonal shit and Christmas stuff on our Patreon bonus. Guys, every month we release, or not every month we do release all 4 of our episodes all at once so you can binge.
It's a content dump.
And so that way you can get it all at once and you can mine it the way that you want it.
Yes.
The other option too that we have is every week on Saturday we release a bonus episode of extra things in our life.
Yes, and
extra lady journeys.
And you get all that for $5.
All that for $5, and then if you want, you can throw in. Some people have been really nice and done $20 every now and then. And I'm like, who are you?
If you do $20, you get a Lady Journey mug.
You get a mug.
Hello.
And you get. If you find out we're in your town, we will get you tickets to our show.
And we will drink with you. We will not have a foursome.
No foursome, but we will hang out with you after the show.
Or maybe we will. Who knows?
That's exciting.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And then I think that's it, right? In the tiers.
Please like and subscribe. Also, we need that. We need it.
And share with any woman in your life. We have 70% men. 30% women on our YouTube.
But we love the men.
We love the men that are here.
Your journey is valid.
But we want the woman to match the men.
Yes. And
or anyone that relates to anything. It doesn't need to be gender specific.
No, it absolutely doesn't.
But I do want ladies.
And it's our commitment to you that during the year of 2023, we will be continuing to try to get Joe Rogan on this podcast. Yes. I have sent one email to the email address that I found on his website. So I can only assume that it went directly to him.
I love that you don't tell me this because I kind of want you to surprise me one day and be like, Joe Rogan's coming over.
I'm going to surprise
like
you live on
here.
air. And he's pulling up. He's pulling up to the studio. We've got a lot of fun stuff planned for 2023.
I will be so nervous.
That's why I'm going to have to surprise you.
Not in a way of like, my hero is here.
I'm going to be like, my God, my hair. We'll have to get our makeup artist Kelly in here. She's amazing.
Yes, we will.
She's truly amazing.
Go all out for him.
So today's episode, I think this is kind of a fun one, not necessarily holiday related, but we have a dear friend who we've mentioned on the podcast a couple times. Her name is Julia Johns. She is currently fighting breast cancer.
That's a fun one.
Yeah, that is a fight that's pretty fun. It's a pretty fun fight. Well, she is a comedian. She and I used to have a bar show together years ago called Double Wide, and we actually promoted it. I had a giant pair of underwear that I got online called giantstuff.com, and we would stand on the street barking, trying to get people to come into the show. I would stand in one leg of the underwear. She would stand in the other. So check out the Patreon for the bonus photo. Or I'm sure I'll just post it on social media.
Yes, but she's had a lot of material. She's been going through chemo and going through this whole ordeal.
Yes.
It's just so weird because it's always been it's looming for every lady.
Yes.
You know it's out there, and it's always surprising when you find out someone in your life very close to you, and I think everyone knows somebody that has breast cancer.
Yeah.
And this is for, I think, a very relatable journey, and I'd love for you guys to find that. I know it's a very scary moment, but to find humor in it, and I think Julia has been very funny in the whole journey of it.
She really has. And, you know, she's such a gal pal in that she's always a fun person to hang out with, always brings the energy and chooses joy. And she has actually surprisingly brought that to her diagnosis, her surgery, her chemotherapy, her radiation. She's handled it with such grace and ease that I would literally be like crying nonstop and demanding that everyone make everything about me, which also I do regularly.
Yeah.
But Julia is actually working on a one-woman show, a piece about her experience. She's a stand-up comedian, so she's bringing her stand-up background. I've seen a bit of it, and it is absolutely to die for, hysterical. So she's going to give us like little peep inside the curtain. Oh, behind the curtain. Woo! She's gonna let us look behind the looking glass, if you will, or whatever the hell. But yeah, we're really excited to have her. So everybody, we hope you enjoy our interview with Julia Johns.
Julia, I'm so excited to have you on because, of course, we want to hear your story about your cancer journey. And you just got back from radiation. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. So this was day 10 of radiation, and I'm still feeling good as they keep. Even though when I go to radiation, it's like 3 technicians that come, they get everything set up, and then they just leave the room. And it just feels like, oh, can you prove that it's safe by staying in here?
Wow.
Feeling good so far. Yeah.
That's great. Well, go ahead.
How many
Sarah.
sessions do you have to do for radiation?
25, 5 weeks every weekday.
That's a lot. You go in every single day?
Yes. So that's the most annoying thing about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the
cancer.
thing I think about.
No, driving and parking is worse than cancer.
People don't talk about that.
Yeah. Circling the parking garage. Oh my God, kill me. You know?
Oh my God, Julia, you look amazing. I love your hair. It looks like it's grown out a little bit since I've seen it.
It has, and I dyed it a few days ago.
Did you?
I had a little Eminem moment and just dyed it blonde.
You're giving me Annie Lennox.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. It's the coolest.
Some Annie Lennox.
So 90s. It's so 90s. And I saw like, you're somebody who, counter to like many other people that I've seen go through cancer, like you shaved your head. It's like, okay, this is a big, awful experience. And then like you have the most amazing bone structure of anyone I've ever seen. And you look stunning.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are now a model. You're on hosting. You've been to 2 weddings where you rocked a completely bald head.
Bald.
And
bald. Yeah.
You look so good. I always thought you were a pretty girl, you know. I'm not saying like, oh my God, you've transformed, but like who shaves their head and
Who
they're
knew?
like, I'm now the hottest I've ever been in my life.
Wow. Yeah. Maybe I should not grow it back. I think I need to keep a buzzed look. It is very easy
into
too.
it.
When I had hair, I always I never did anything with it. And so this is very easy and it looks better than anything I could have done with my hair.
It's a look.
So
It's a look, and it looks great with like the eye makeup too. Like like a
Thank you. Yeah, when I don't draw eyebrows on, then it doesn't look as cool. And I look sickly.
surprise. Yeah. 'Cause
Very
I
different
feel
look.
like I've always kind of had this fantasy of like, I'm shaving my head, like this is me now, but I feel concerned that people would mistake me for a little boy. You know, like watch out there, Sonny. You know?
When I was like super bald and I would like go outside, I'd wear like a baseball hat and then I felt like a little boy going to baseball practice.
Yeah.
And then when I was with my sister one time, she's like, no, it doesn't. And then I like put it backwards and she's like, okay, now you look like a little boy going a little bit. Thank
Have you been misgendered?
being honest.
Have you been misgendered?
I have. I've had a couple like at a CVS register, like right up here, sir. And then they were like, oh, ma'am. And I was like, it doesn't matter, right?
go
It's
along
2022.
with
Who
it.
cares? Yeah. I'm like, that's right. Respect me. I'm a straight white man.
That's great. Yeah, if only you could do
With
that for your
tits.
email.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, talk about a little bit about where you decided, because you like had got a lot of wigs, you were kind of wearing wigs, and now you're just like, I look amazing as a bald person, so this is my look now. Like, talk about your transformation.
Yeah. I guess when I was completely bald, I would usually go out, like I said, with a hat. And then there were a couple times I ordered all these Amazon wigs and I would send them all back. They all looked awful. And then I wore one out one night and it just was, I had this like crazy rash from it. And now, especially we'll talk about menopause and hot flashes. And so it's like having a hot itchy wig is just, and I spent like $450 on this one wig. Like,
Oh my God.
that was when I went completely bald, just assuming that I'd be like wearing a wig. So I got this nice wig and then I've worn it like twice because now I like the buzzed look.
And it's a lot of maintenance. Because when I was with you, we went to the haunted house and we were like, you remember
right,
it was like kicking up all that dust and you're like, I guess my wig is full of dirt now.
That was a bad choice to wear a wig to that event.
We're like running around and like still
so dirty,
basically, and it just all went into
just like chalky hair. So then I had to like buy wig shampoo and conditioner, which I haven't used yet.
God,
just got dusty wigs just sitting on my dresser.
Yeah. I feel like that's the thing that a lot of people that are going through your situation, it feels like they go for the wigs and then they realize how high maintenance is. I also feel like the times that I've worn wigs, I'm always afraid. I feel self-conscious in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It feels like, oh my God, everybody can tell this is a wig. Yeah.
Or my hairline is right here. Yeah. It's
I like make an adjustment and then it's just like I've always wanted a shorter forehead.
Your forehead is this big. That takes care of Botox.
I'd like freak out my nieces. I'd like put a wig on and put it like way back here though when I was bald. So I just had like an enormous forehead. It looked like the Kristen Wiig's little hand character.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
like
great.
Elizabethan like lady just with like the high forehead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I think I would go the route that you've gone with no wig.
Yeah. And now that it is, like I said, it's when it comes in now as like a buzzed look. Like I think if I had alopecia where it's completely bald, like that's a little more, the women who rock that completely bald head, I give them a lot of credit.
Yeah.
But like my mom and I went when we were in Cincinnati, the hospital recommended this wig place and we go in and they said that the synthetic wigs start at $650. The real wigs go up to $10,000. And instead of just immediately being like, okay, we're in the wrong place, we like both kind of like played it cool. Like, oh, right. We were totally expecting that. Okay, let's try some wigs on. And then like never contacted them again. But I think if I had permanent hair loss, that's when you invest in like a really nice wig that looks,
Yeah. Some of those aesthetic women have really authentic looking hair. Have you ever seen them? It's impressive.
Yeah, they definitely all have the same looking hair.
They never go for a wave.
Yeah.
No, Dolly Parton wore a lot of wigs.
Color.
She wore a lot of wigs. She didn't want to sit and get her hair done forever. So she'd be like, just pop on my wig. I'm good to go.
Yeah. That's
I would
also
like to
good.
wear a wig for that reason. Like if I just wanted to
Yes.
have like a black French bob, like just pop on your wig instead of like
Totally.
getting like flat ironing
knitting.
for hours
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
trying
And that's
your
like, yeah,
room.
the wig I wore to the haunted house thing, I wore that to like a rehearsal dinner or one of the weddings. And then that was great. Yeah. To just have your hair done. I could never have done that to my hair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Pretty cool. Wigs are pretty cool.
Wigs.
Now, how did this all come about? Like, how did you find out? Or did you have any inkling that you had breast cancer?
I just like felt an energy, you know.
Yes,
Also,
I have your button
I
here,
would've-
your merch.
Oh yeah, check your
my
titties.
check your titties because you did check.
I did. Also, it would have been really funny if we just talked about wigs and hair the whole time, and then you were out of time. You're like, shit, we didn't ask her anything about cancer.
Well, you heard it here. Wigs.
I felt a lump in the shower, so I wasn't doing like a check or whatever. I just
Are we
felt it
talking
in the shower.
large or like a pebble?
I'm like a grape,
Like a
like a medium-sized
That's actually
grape. I felt in there.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, it was big enough that I was like, oh, I think that's something. And I happened to have a doctor's appointment a few days later, so that was convenient. And so I told her, and then she had me come back the next day for a mammogram, and then a couple of days later for biopsies. And so it all happened very quickly, from like
That's
feeling the lump
crazy.
to like being told you have cancer and like here's the plan.
Yeah.
And you kind of had the rug pulled up from under you, right? Because you kind of thought like, oh, maybe it's just the one breast, and then like it kind of just kept getting worse and worse for you. Like, I mean, you've kept your mindset so positive. Like how?
Yeah, they first told me over the phone. They said like stage 0, you might just have a lumpectomy, which is where they just like take the cancer out and that's it. And then when I went in and met with the doctor, she said it's stage 1, and you'll have to have a mastectomy, remove the whole breast. And when I was like, how come on the phone they told me differently? And she's like, well, sometimes they don't have all the information. It was just like, what? Why? Once you gather that information? And
in
then,
any other context, it's like fine. Like, your taxes have been accepted. You're being audited.
right?
You're being audited now.
Yes. Yeah. And then I had the genetic testing done, and I found out that I have like 3 gene mutations. One of them is the BRCA2 gene mutation, which means I have an 87% chance of getting it in the other breast. So then that's when they were like, we'll remove both breasts. Then it went up to stage 2 after the surgery. They removed 3 lymph nodes, and then it had spread to one of them. And so that bumps it to stage 2. And then they took out 17 more lymph nodes to check those, but those were all free of cancer. Also, guess how many lymph nodes we have in our bodies?
Oh,
No idea.
a lot.
Right?
Hundreds?
I'm going by
About 600.
You lost 17
Because
like it was nothing. I'm like, wow.
I know. I was like, I thought we had like 6. Yeah.
I know, doesn't it? It does sound like when they say lymph nodes, because
You're always like, okay, these, and yeah.
Yeah. I would assume it's a small number. So I'm kind of surprised that it's
I like
actually-
woke up from surgery and they're like, we took out 20 lymph nodes. I was like, what? They're like, it's like, how many do we have? They're like, about 600. I was like, well, okay. And then I was also like, okay, well, if those are cancer free, can you like put them back in?
Yeah.
Whoopsies.
Yeah, do you
But that's
need
not how
those?
bodies work, I guess.
Do you need those at all, or you're just like you're down?
I'm still kind of like numb. So the surgery was in June. And you have to do this, like, you could get this thing called lymphedema. Like your lymph nodes are what's like spreads. If you get like an infection, it's like they spread the white blood cells or whatever. I still don't really know. And
I'm the
so
same
there's
way.
a chance of like swelling and lymphedema or whatever. But so far, I think it's been okay.
That genetic testing, is that the one that Angelina Jolie did, that she wiped out
Yes.
everything?
Yeah. So she
I
did
thought
a
it was like-
preventative mastectomy.
Why don't we just have that when we're younger?
Yeah.
I know it's messed up because I have my paternal aunt had breast cancer, but I couldn't get tested for it on my insurance because it's like it's only if it's like your mom.
Right. It's still, even my mom had to like
so
pay for some. She
crazy.
was like, my daughter has breast cancer. And they were just like, oh, sorry, we can only do this one test. It's crazy. And then, because then they were telling me to like have everybody get tested. But they were like, yeah, have your brother, that they found out that like my brothers have daughters, and they were like, have your brothers get tested. And it's like, what? So they can just be terrified that they're like toddler daughters might get breast cancer someday. It does seem, but I think at a certain age, everybody should be tested.
Which should just be covered
For
by
free.
insurance, because
Yes.
it's so much easier to just do like a preventative mastectomy than it is to be like, well, now you have cancer and now you're just
right.
like
to go through everything and totally.
It's probably the wig industry. It's big wig.
Oh my God. We cracked it. Big wig. I did the one
the next day.
The silver lining of finding out about all these gene mutations is that I was like, it helped me tell myself that the cancer was completely out of my control. Cause like when I was first diagnosed, I was like, oh my God, is this because I spent my 20s getting hammered? And then I got the gene mutation stuff back and I was like, oh, it was just my destiny. Okay. Thank God.
Now you can keep getting hammered with a clean conscience.
I do, not to spread misinformation, but I do feel like a lot of cancer is chalked up to just genetics. Cause I had a friend who never smoked. He had lung cancer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, he made it through. He got arrested and they do x-rays, I think. And that's how they found it. So if he never got arrested.
Whoa.
That's what you need to do if you don't have health insurance and you think you may have lung cancer. Just go.
Oh my God.
Go rob a Dwayne Reed.
Yes. You found the loophole. Oh my God. Wow. And then, then there's people that like chain smoke their whole lives and don't get lung cancer. It's bonkers. Yeah.
So Julia, I think it's so cool that you've been like doing a lot of stand-up about you have like a lot of great bits now about finding out you have cancer, like just so many awkward situations that you have had. And are you still working up to doing a one-woman show?
I am. Yeah. I did a show last night, tried some new stuff. So that's the goal.
I love that.
I think it'll be beneficial. And plus, I think it's so important to laugh through all these obstacles that you're going through. Because I don't know, I just generally just think it makes the process so much easier than like getting upset about it or like trying to find the humor in all of this.
Feeling powerless.
Yeah. And I feel part of me is like, I hope I can keep, it's like, what if at a certain point I'm just like, tired of talking about it, or I'm like, is everybody sick of hearing me talk about it? But then like after that clip, people would message me and be like, I have cancer and this was so nice to hear. And I let or like, this got me to go get a mammogram. And so then I'm like, okay, this is
that's great.
It,
your clip you posted on Instagram.
Yes.
At Julia Johns. Is that your handle? At Julia.
Hey, Julia Johns. Some broad has Julia Johns and she won't give it up. And she blocked me.
Someone has Katie Hannigan as well. And they have like 200 followers and they've stopped responding to
obviously I'm the more dominant Katie Hannigan.
Exactly.
I'm the top Katie Hannigan in my field right now. So Julia,
oh, Katie, go ahead.
Okay. Julia, I want to hear a little bit about your process as a comic. I mean, you're a very naturally, organically funny person, but like, what are you doing? How are you kind of like living through this, having cancer and like taking these experiences and like turning them into these like funny bits that you're like sharing with the world?
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. It's been kind of easier to write about this than to write other stand-up. Like I was kind of not doing as much stand-up because it just felt like, what is the point of this? And when you like write some new joke and it bombs and you're like, I'm a piece of shit. But like it's kind of but talking about this, I had one show, it kind of felt like it was sort of bombing, but it's like, anyway, but writing about it has, because when I talk about it, I like to just joke about it anyway. That's just how I deal with things, I guess. And so the writing process has just been like, as each thing happens to me, I just kind of write journal sort of thing, or like if I'm talking or joking with somebody, then I'm like, I'll write that down and then I go back and expand on it. So that's what it's been so far.
Nice. Yeah. Just kind of really organic, it seems like. Because I mean, just being your friend through this process, you've told me so many stories where you just hear these weird tales of like people interacting in the healthcare industry. And you're like, wait, what the fuck is going on? Like it just seems like that whole world, down is up is down. Like nothing makes sense, Like, you're telling me about like I know, or you had that bit about like the lumpectomy and you're like laying on the table and your boob is just in a hole and you're like, who invented this? And is this
That's one of my,
helpful?
That was
like,
that was one of the biopsies. It's called a stereotactic biopsy. And you lie on a table there's this hole in the table. Like before I went and got it, I'm like Googling it and it's just, these illustrations and your boob hangs through a table and it just feels like they haven't come up with a better way to do this since then. And,
it is. They were like, good enough.
Yeah. And it's like, men came up with all of this. I hope that, some women doctors and scientists maybe will come up with, like, it's crazy that the mammogram is still just smashing
very
your boob.
Pinchy, very pinchy.
When I think about like that my mom has been now for 30 years, it's the same thing. And like for a testicular exam, are they dangling a ball through a hole? I don't think so.
No, but
well, I also don't know because I have no idea.
But maybe.
Well, I have told this story on Lady Journey before, but I did get a mammogram and my titties are so tiny that they had to get like little.
You had to go to the basement.
Yeah.
Get the machine that never gets used.
Yeah. You're like digging around for it. And I remember the woman like it's like a foot pedal. It's like a foot pedal, right? And she just like accidentally stepped on it too much. And then my titty was just like squeezed. It's like that wasn't part of it. I was just like, it's so mortifying to get the mammogram because you're just like standing there.
Yeah.
Like, like
I had
having sex after that where you're like, I've been assaulted by a robot.
Yeah. I had to like, when I got the mammogram, I'm 5'11" and she was like raising the thing and then it started clicking and she's like, oh, that's as high as it goes. And I was like, am I too tall for the machine? She's like, yes. And so then I'm like, my tits in there and I'm like hunched over, just like topless. Like it's just not sexy.
Oh my
and
God.
A lot of this stuff, like I feel very, you're just looked at medically for months and months. And so that like takes a toll on you. Now with,
I would just say like, I would be like, I don't even see my breast as a sexual part of me anymore.
No. And now with radiation, it's just like every day you go in, they like flop the tit out. These 3 people are like marking you. They're like 3.4 left, and they're like, how was your weekend? I'm like, it's cool. Okay. Like you just,
Yeah, it's wild. Now, how often were you giving yourself breast exams?
I wasn't.
I feel like I touch my breast a lot.
Yeah. I also have like, I've had like 10 years ago or something, I had like a false, they thought they felt something. I went and got like an ultrasound, but then they told me I just have cystic breasts. I just have lumpy boobs. Very fibrous. So anytime I'm always just like, right. So they just kind of feel lumpy, but like, so this was just in the shower, like rinsing and I just like flopped it up and I was just like, huh. And it was a very distinct, like I said, a grape. And so, and even when I went to the doctor, she was like, I'm not too concerned, but like, we'll get some tests, which I really appreciate that because I almost want to ask her now, like, were you concerned? Because some other people, I feel like doctors are so quick to be like, no, it might be cancer. And then it's not. And it's like, why would you say that? And so I liked how she kept me calm. And so I gradually, after these tests, started feeling like, oh, is it something? But
yeah, God, what a scary feeling that must have been, to weird. Just have.
I feel like you pick up on their vibe. Like you're like, I know that something's up, but they're not telling me.
Yeah. It was like once so she said, I'm not too concerned, but she had me get an ultrasound, which I had done before. So I was like, okay, maybe it's just that again. And then once they sent me to do a mammogram after that, that's when I started to be like, okay. And then the biopsies, I was, feeling more and more like this could be something.
Yeah. But you have like really been so graceful and just stunning throughout this whole process. Like how did you keep your mindset positive? I mean, you're like a positive gal. You're like a fun girl,
Thank
but
you.
like, did you feel like at points where you're like, why me? Like, oh my God.
Yeah. And I feel lucky that I have like a naturally positive outlook, I guess. Like I definitely have moments and I have like, have depression sometimes. And there were definitely moments. I had a couple moments where it was just like scream crying, like, yeah, why me? But then also feeling, lucky that it was caught early and that they had this, they were like, we're going to cure it. And thinking about people who have it so much worse, who, might go in and it's terminal or whatever. And then just having a really good support system, really good family and friends. And yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I love you were telling me, what was the thing you were telling me about the you've connected with a community of other women that are going through breast cancer?
Yeah, that's really helpful too. Angela Trimber, who is an actress and a dancer and choreographer, she had breast cancer and like documented her journey on Instagram. And she started these Marco Polo support groups. Do you remember the Marco Polo app?
Yeah.
Where you send video messages. And so then you just reach out to her and you're like, how can I be put in a group? And then so when she gets new people, she forms a little group. So there's like 6 of us who are all going through like different stages of breast cancer. And it's like other women in their 30s, early 40s. And it's been so nice to just like talk to these other people who get it. Any little thing that, that you're feeling
women.
or whatever, they get it.
I love us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But how sad though if there's like one guy in the group though. You're like, sorry,
Hi,
Paul.
Ted.
Oh my God.
Bless your heart. He's like,
How's your wife?
overwhelmed emotionally. Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Put Carol on.
Oh, but that's actually one of them. So we're all in like different cities, but there's one that lives in LA and she came to my show last night. So we met in
that's
person.
so cool.
It was so great. I felt like I was meeting a celebrity that I felt like I know.
Yeah. That's so great. I mean, you go ahead. You go, Sarah.
I was going to say, when you're talking about on stage, do you feel the audience close up about cancer? Because sometimes it feels like when you talk about a serious subject, they're like,
Yeah.
but you're like, guys, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's going through it.
Yeah. I definitely,
Trust me.
yeah, I'm laughing. We could laugh. No,
Yeah.
There's definitely like, especially I'm trying to figure out, and I was saying it last night, like how to introduce it in a set. Cause now it's like that I'm just working on this. It's like I get up on stage and then I'm just like, so I have breast cancer and but it's okay. I'm going to tell some
Did
jokes.
anybody say cancer? And they're like,
And I was
no.
just like, what the fuck? And then I'm like, I need to figure out how to like softly break it to people. I'm like, do you guys like my cool buzz Ted? I'm not actually cool. It's chemo. Like, I'm trying to figure that out. But then, so that's the thing that I need to work on. Cause they do definitely initially, they're like, what the fuck? But then I think they, then they're open to it. But then there might be moments where like, even last night I was talking about something and then I heard a couple like awns and I was like, no, don't, which I already hate hearing that as a comic, but
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
the worst,
they-
like just pity. Like, oh, do you think you're helping me by being like, I'm
Right.
doing a lot
Yeah.
better than you?
Oh,
Aww. I think people
Yeah.
think they're like relating to you or being nice in a way. It's like if you like seeing somebody, the cashier at CVS, you're like,
yeah.
good boy.
Yeah.
Not to put anyone on blast, but are there pet peeves about like the way that you've been treated?
Ooh, I love it. Ooh,
That's a good question.
I'll tell you, like when I heard, I was like, you know what? I should get Julia to hang out with my friend. And you're like, why would now I'm just making my friend hang out with a stranger.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
There was, but that I did, because like I have another like cancer friend that I made. She's a comedian out here, and a mutual friend like connected us. But it was more that person like wanted someone to talk to. And so this friend was like, you should reach out. And then there was somebody else who like gave me a person. So it was like, I appreciated it. But then sometimes it would be, I think it was the way people did it. Cause then I would have people who would just like DM me and be like, like I have a friend who has cancer. Do you want to talk? I'm just like,
you have to drive out to them, and they live in.
yeah.
How about
It's like, but it's
on top of your chemo? You could do a little scavenger hunt.
But it is like, I appreciate it because that is a nice offer. People are just trying to help, something else. I think, when people, if they say like, either, it's like the hair looks really good, but then sometimes, or like people are like, your breasts look great, or like, how about those breasts? Did you go bigger? And so it's like, sometimes I'm like fine with it, but then,
I feel
Yes.
like that's a comment that guy comments do, thinking that they're like talking about the elephant in the room, but you're like, well, you're just kind of like insensitive. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Or even like,
still
like
my body.
yeah. Or even like before this, before the surgery, people would be like, are you going to get bigger? And it's like, no. And also like, I don't want fake tits. Like I want my boobs. I miss my boobs. Like I don't like these, I miss my boobs. And so sometimes,
Yeah. No, yeah. How was that for you? Like getting the implants and then, just kind of like readjusting to having basically a different body.
Yeah, and the doctor did a good job. Like, cause when you Google pictures of mastectomies, you're like, holy shit. Franken titties, huh?
That's the name of your one woman show.
Yeah, there we go. Oh my God. That's great.
I feel a jingle coming on. Franken titties.
She's alive. But they look like pretty natural. Like this, it's crazy what they can do now. Cause it's just like little scars on the side. It's funny. I showed Katie cause I think the scars like look really good now. It almost kind of just looks like a stretch mark, like on the side. And I showed Katie and she was like, whoa, whoa.
I overreacted. I have a thing where like anything like that, it's a weird thing, but like I know it is a thing because I looked it up online, but I've always had it. If I see like a friend or like a relative, some kind of injury, I get like empathy pains in the back of my legs, shooting pains. And that's what I was feeling. So people, I mean, I just am like, I know. Like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You look amazing. Your body is beautiful. And I'm so sorry I overreacted like that, but I'll never be able to stop.
I do. I get that because sometimes the littlest things, like somebody will be describing like, yeah, I fell and I cut my ankle and it was bleeding. And I'm like, oh, like my butthole is just like, whoa. But I can see like a huge like gash in a horror movie or something. But
highly sensitive people, as I call us women.
But yeah, it's weird. And like, they're still like, they have what is it, like ripples from like the implant. I think you put them too big in there. I don't know. My skin is so thin. But I think for the most part, I'm thankful that they're not full of cancer, but there's moments where I'm just like, I want my tits back. I don't like these.
Yeah. It is such an interesting kind of experience to be like, I kind of have bionic titties, I guess. It's almost kind of like the Terminator in a way.
Yes.
That's cool.
But they can't really do anything cool though. In fact, they're numb. And then you have to change them out every like 10 years.
Oh, interesting.
Which feels crazy. Like they're just like a car part. But then I'm like, ooh, what kind of like upgrades are they going to have in 10 years? Maybe I will have some Terminator titties then.
Now, right after your diagnosis, you and I were performing in Cincinnati together.
Yes.
Last May, and we had a deranged audience member
who
came up to you. First of all, she poked me in my glasses like that because she thought I was just wearing frames, and I was like
vanities.
She thought I had no lens. I was like, so you were just gonna poke me in the eye? Like what was the plan here?
She was psychotic. Yeah.
All down drunk. And of course, like you were doing your material about your diagnosis, and it was killing. It was so funny. And then like a lot of people I think were relating to it, coming up to you after the show and getting the buttons. And this girl comes up and is like, I just want you to know, I know what you're going through, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I've already been assaulted by her. So I'm like over to the side. I'm assuming that she had breast cancer. And then I'm like, oh, so like, what were you guys talking about? And you're like, she had implants. And
she had implants. That's all she knew. She knew what I was going through. Yep.
She was relating to you about surgery.
There was also a guy, speaking of pet peeves, a guy who came up to me afterwards and came in for a hug. And he was like, my fiance died of breast cancer. And I was like, oh my God. And so I hugged him. And then he goes, yeah, just like what you had. She had the surgery and it was all good. And then it came back and she died. And I was just like,
Good day, sir.
So there's a pet peeve when people tell me that people in their life died of cancer. Please don't do that. Don't tell somebody that has cancer about somebody who died. from cancer.
And then be like, but I'm sure you're going to be fine.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Melissa's gone. That guy was hot, though. I will say he was so hot. He was probably stupid. He seemed.
And I was like, your fiance is dead. Looking for a new one, huh? You got to type.
Yeah, that is a weird thing. Sometimes I notice that when people try to relate, they inadvertently
God
are
bless
like
them.
the most hilarious rudeness I've ever witnessed,
Yes,
like unaware,
yes.
where you're like, all right,
Yeah.
now I feel weird. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Like what?
Yeah, like, hey, my daughter's ugly. So you're like, what? What are you saying? So Julia, tell us a little bit about your experience you froze your eggs, and now you're kind of going into, I guess, what's the menopause? What's going on with the menopause thing? First eggs, then menopause.
Eggs and menopause. So the eggs, I froze my eggs because the chemo can like affect the ovaries, and then I'm on this medication that prevents my ovaries from producing estrogen because the estrogen was what's fueling the cancer. So then that puts you into menopause. So the egg freezing, I sometimes forget that I did it, which is crazy, that I've got my little eggs sitting somewhere. But I did it right before the first chemo treatment. So it's like after surgery, before the first chemo treatment. I also, that day, I had my wonderful friends and Mindy Tucker, our beloved photographer, flew out to
She's
LA.
Incredible.
Yeah. And they put together a fundraiser for me, and she took photos there. And my egg retrieval date was supposed to be like 2 days later or something, and they had to move it up or move it, whatever. So I had it the same day. So I have the egg retrieval surgery, and then they're like, just go home and rest. Like, don't do anything. And I'm just like, okay. And then my friend picked me up and took me to my party. You
gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta. Yeah. And I think the adrenaline kept me like feeling okay, because then for the next like week, I was just, I felt like my ovaries and my uterus were just going to drop out of me. Like every time walking around, you're so like bloated and crampy, and it's just this like crazy, weird pain. Yeah.
Oh my God. I didn't realize that it was supposed to be that painful.
Yeah. Cause they like are stabbing your ovaries, sucking the eggs out. And, yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting a FaceTime from Ashley Brooke Roberts right now, so I'm going to decline it. Sorry.
Shout out though. Shout out on the
Bring
pod.
her in.
That is an advantage though, because freezing your eggs, doesn't it cost like $20,000?
Yeah.
So
And
you got it covered. So that's great.
Basically all covered, which is crazy.
Yeah.
That is great.
So I was like, well, I got to do it. Yeah. Cause that's something that I've wanted to do, but I couldn't afford it. And so thank you, cancer. You know what I mean?
Cancer's your sugar daddy.
Well, I tell every female comic now, like, if you can do that.
Yes.
I would love to do it. I'd love to just buy myself a couple more years,
Right. I wish that, I think I would tell people to donate or sell their eggs in their like mid-20s or whatever, and then take that money and then at like 30 or whatever, freeze their eggs. Right. Isn't that a genius plan?
Oh, that's great. I had a girlfriend who did freeze her eggs, and she,
Lady Journey.
So full circle. And then when you have kids, you can be like, there's some more of you out there. I did have a friend go through the process of freezing her eggs when I was in college, and I looking back, I was found it to be like, I was really flippant about it. Like, oh, she's freezing her eggs. Like, that's just something you do. And now, like, in retrospect, I'm like, for a 20-year-old girl to go through something like that, like, that was probably really traumatic, because she was like getting injections. She had to go in for the surgery, and so it's not nothing.
Man. And then also though, that's crazy to do it in your early 20s, because the eggs will only last so long. So like, unless she's planning on having them, having kids in her 20s. Did she?
No, this was for a
Or was this her selling?
Donor.
Donated. She donated. Yeah.
Oh, okay. My
Yeah.
bad. Edit that part out.
Oh, I think I said she froze her eggs, but I meant she donated her eggs. But
Gotcha.
I assume they were frozen at some point. I have no idea.
Gotcha.
So now what's going on with the menopause? I thought
God.
that you froze the eggs because
Ask
you were
my
going
armpits.
Because I thought that you froze the eggs because you were going into menopause because of you're kind of on hormone therapy.
Basically, yes, because yes. And so
I'm a doctor.
Yeah, so I'm going into menopause. So yeah, that's why you freeze your eggs. And now I'm in menopause. Hot flashes suck. I think I've been told that acupuncture helps. So I'm going to do that for sure because every night I'm drenching my sheets and it's getting old.
Acupuncture is so your haircut right now. You're so into Eastern medicines with that.
So I'm going to try that. I'll try anything. It's crazy. And it's like, I remember like my mom having hot flashes, but it feels like one of those things that I can't believe women aren't talking about it all the time. I'm like, if I'm with somebody while I'm having a hot flash, I feel like I have to announce it. I'm like, hot flash. And I just like, take off all my layers. Like,
yeah. So you're just like keeping it in and your sweat's running down your face and you're like,
yeah,
fine.
Yeah. Cause it's just all of a sudden just like, you're just, sweating. Just everyone's like, are you okay? It's 10 degrees.
So what's next for your one woman show?
I'm going to keep trying to do shows and work on little new bits at a time. And then I guess I'm going to try to find like a small theater to maybe workshop it once I have like a whole, hour written out and, maybe hit a couple clubs, see if I can headline and try it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for you to connect with a community of people who are going through something. So I'm really excited to see what you do with it.
Thank you.
I know it's like huge. It's so everybody knows somebody in their life that's had breast cancer.
Yeah. You have a niche.
Yes.
You have a niche now. Okay.
We've all been dreaming for finding a niche.
And you better tap it.
It does. I mean, that's part of our like sick, comedian, performer, writer brain. It's just like, okay, this is my thing. This is what,
comedy plus tragedy. Comedy plus whatever time. I forget the equation. Well, this has been Julia Johns. Julia, you're so amazing. Everyone can follow her at Hey Julia Johns on Instagram. Please go ahead and follow her right now so you could just keep up with her journey, so you can follow her shows and her clips that she's posting. And please share it because, we're trying to get the word out about her journey. And also, please do subscribe and follow Lady Journey because we also need a niche. And we have one, but it's not quite as specific as Julia's, but we are working our ass off.
We're still working on it.
Yes, we are. We're working on everything and we're providing quality Lady Journey content. And we also have a Patreon if you want to hear the rest of Julia's interview where we talk about behind the scenes and names will be named.
Ooh.
Lady Journey.
Lady Journey.